This is a
Good time, Charlie?
production.
On your marks, get set, play.
I love that.
Good favor.
That I really like.
That is delicious.
Bakers, your time is up.
Well, howdy ho, Patroninos. Well, we are. You'll notice every time we introduce the show, or we talk about, or I do credits at the end of the rain show, it is always says, I say, patrons at the $5 and above level get extra content each month and early access to new shows. This is one of said new shows, brand new. This was decided 2 days ago that this might be a thing we do. And what and I plan to do here is let's see. I actually have technical notes written up. So here, I'll give you the introduction I have written down here. But would you look at that, an all new show for you, the patrons? Ed and I are going to do a bit of a recap for the latest series of the Great British Bake Off. New episodes air Tuesdays in the UK and Fridays via Netflix stateside. The plan is to do more in-depth analysis here on Patreon and more high-level discussion on the regular show throughout the series. Now let's see how this all plays out. I guess if you're just a rookie, we should probably tell them about Great British Bake Off. So,
Okay, well, first, when did you start watching?
let's see. That first series that they put on Netflix would have been Chetna. So what series was that? You know?
If I'm not mistaken, they really don't say because they were off on by a friend. I mean, the British show, they don't really say which one they started with. Because I know it was like already 5 seasons on, and then they went to Netflix.
Yep. I'm trying to give you an actual. Let's see if I can get in here without end up fucking up and telling on myself. Let's see. I'm gonna look at number 5, and Nancy in the final. Let's see. Nadia. When did Chetna get booted? Was Chetna in 5? Here, I'm gonna click on series 5 and see who was on here. Yeah, Chetna was on series 5. So
Okay.
that was the first one I ended up. Series 5 in the UK, series 1 here in the United States. And so, yeah, they really do. It's interesting. I don't know if you ever watched any of the British episodes, but at least when they were on
PBS.
BBC,
Okay.
they had little little vignettes that they would do during the middle of the show. So basically, they explained to you all about a specific bread they were making that week and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
No, I was just thinking of more show titles, and I just thought of Black British Bacon.
So that is I don't know if they still do that. Like I said, let's do a quick breakdown of Great British Baking Show. Great British Bake Off. We call it the Great British Baking Show in America because the title Bake Off is a Pillsbury trademark in America. And so they can't use that here in America. So they call it the Baking Show here. But it's the Great British Bake Off. Great British Bake Off started in 2010 in the UK, and it was on BBC Two. So BBC, the BBC, TV in England is weird and weirdly broken up in a couple of ways. There are there's BBC One, there's BBC Two, and those are state-run TV shows. You know what I'm saying? You pay a tax to own a TV in England every year. And that tax is used to pay for the programming that they have on those channels.
That's interesting.
Yeah, BBC Two is usually more sincere and serious stuff, and BBC One is usually their more popular stuff. So this initially started on BBC Two, then moved over to BBC One when it started blowing up, and then it moved over to Channel 4. Literally, that shit is called Channel 4. I know it's weird, but that's just what that Channel 4 is, a commercial channel in the UK. So literally, they have commercials on it. And so that's how that channel is run. And they bought basically, I mean, the show got sold to Channel 4. And upon being sold to Channel 4, we lost the one of the main hosts and the two co-hosts and the two ladies.
Mary Berry.
Yeah, yeah. So Mary Berry, who's a staple in English cookery shows, and Sue and Mel, who are a comedy duo, who did the main hosting of the show up until they moved over to Channel 4. And when they moved to Channel 4, that's when they brought in Noel Fielding, who you might know from the Mighty Boosh and the IT Crowd, if you watched that. Yeah, yeah. And Sue, and not Sue, who was the lady? That Dutch lady.
I don't remember her name.
Yeah, it was this Dutch lady, and I cannot think of her name to save my life. But she was on the first series that was over on Channel 4. So if I can get her name.
I'm looking now.
All right. I got all these Wikipedias open, so Sandy. it was Sandy Toksvig. She's like I said, she was Dutch, and she's super funny. She really was a good presenter.
What happened to her?
I think she just went to go do something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what in particular, and that's with so many jobs to be had in the UK.
And then the weird bald guy's on there now.
Yeah, that guy is. I'm like, he's pretty funny. But also, I've seen him do some jokes that have been considered kind of rated. Matt Lucas is his name. It was a show, and I cannot think of the show. And you know what? That was an Australian show. That wasn't him. But he done did some shit in wigs that make you go, sir. Little Britain is a show you probably have seen him in, and it's real funny, but also slightly uncomfortable. So him and Noel now do the hosting duties where they have. Prudence is our and Paul Hollywood are the judges on the show. And Paul Hollywood has stayed on the show for years. He came over from the BBC. He was one of the only one to move over from the BBC production. Prue Leith, who is 81 years old, and I never believed that. She's doing okay for 81. But like I said, this is series 12.
I wonder is she older than Mary Berry? Because Mary Berry, Prue is spry. Like Mary Berry is kind of, I would wonder if they're the same age.
Mary Berry, 86.
Oh.
And 5 years make all the difference.
Yeah, that 5 years is, I don't know. Mary Berry was looking old from the beginning. Like, Prue was a spry 81.
Yeah. So, this is the 12th Bake Off series in the UK, and like I said, hour or whatever. 9th, I think is what it said on Netflix.
9th, yep.
Yeah. And I had to go digging to go find it because it's like whatever reason it was on series like 7. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it did the same thing to me.
And I was like, I know this episode. And plus I knew it because that Denmark lady, the Dutch lady, was on there. I'm like, you ain't on this show no more unless they brought you back, and I'm real surprised there. So I had to go dig through the episodes and come up with it. But episode 1, is it always Cake Week?
I can check that.
Yeah, as I scroll through, it does look like every first week is Cake Week. That's wild.
Nope. On season 6, it was Biscuit Week. Cake Week was week 2.
What the hell? Season 6? How dare you?
So I guess it's always either cake or biscuits the first week.
Okay.
Or bread. It did, like it's saying week 2 for season 2 was bread. Yep. They only switch it up every once in a while. It's either cake or bread. I mean,
Yeah.
either cake or biscuits, which
And
are
let me tell
the
you,
two staples.
after many years of watching the show, I can see a fucked up crumb from miles away, bruh. And they cut my man's cake. Well, we'll get into it, of course. They cut my man's cake today, and I was like, that cake dry. And then Prue took a bite and said, it's kind of dry. And I was like, I can see. I'll be knowing.
And you could tell. I mean, of course they have amazing cameras, but like you could tell if it's a tight crumb.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I laugh every time because, like I said, at this point, like I said, people have been watching for a long time, so I know all the fuck ups, I know all the mistakes they gonna make, and then I watch them make it. Like somebody gonna start their bake too late, which means your cake was too hot, which means when you added your filling, it was just gonna run right out because it was a hot ass cake, and you knew it, and I knew it, and we all knew it, but you did it any damn way.
Yeah, I mean um, it seemed like it's always a formula to the show. It's
Yeah.
always a good older baker, of course, but there's always one very good young baker.
Yep, an impressively good young baker.
Yes.
And this year is no different. I'm actually going to run you down a list of the bakers, and I'm going to tell you. Well, I'll tell you. I wrote them down as they appeared as they put a name up or said a name out loud. So this is pretty much in order of how they appeared on the show this week. It is Maggie, who's your old lady, pretty much looked like Prue's sister. It was real for real. It was kind of weird. It was Chigs, Amanda, George was your guy from Cyprus, your Cypriot. Christelle, who is the Southeast Asian, is how she looks to me. If I'm wrong, my apologies. Jurgen is the German guy. Tom, who I literally wrote. I don't know if you see it right here. Should go home first.
The first thing I wrote down for him was like the nerd of the show. There's always one baker, or usually it's a baker who is like into the science of baking.
Yeah.
And he seemed like to be the one. And then he even mentioned himself that he was going to go home first.
Yeah. And then I actually wrote down that I thought George was going to leave first after his tragic showing in the signature event, but we'll get there. Rohika, who is I'm just going to be real with you, this year's black girl, who I wrote is a cutie.
Oh yeah, I wrote she is my boo this year.
See, oddly enough, Christelle, which was my ex-wife's name but spelled different, I wrote very purdy next to. I think that's my little boo this year. Freya, who is a 90-year-old and the youngest baker in the tent this year, and is a vegan. But I know for sure. Well, anyway, we'll get there. Lizzie, who looked like I swear to God, she looked just like a bad girl I saw in the Powerpuff Girls before. Like one of the enemies of the Powerpuff Girls.
Yes.
She builds luxury cars. That's her job in real life. And I thought that was so dope.
They all have pretty interesting jobs.
Yeah. Giuseppe, he's Italian and he's an engineer.
He's an engineer with 3 sons.
Yeah. I put a star next to him because I truly thought he was going to be Star Baker this week. And Gerzino, who I put as a sassy Trinity gay man, because we almost always get a gay man.
Yes,
and he was a little sassy until he got humbled.
Yeah, but you usually stereotypically it seems like they're a lot more sassy. He's not as sassy as some of the other.
No, he's Bake Off sassy. That's what I mean by that. He is sassy for this very sometimes dour British show.
I kind of feel like in the past it's like it was this one guy and forgive me for not even knowing his name, but like there seems to always be some style over substance people every year, and he was definitely like all razzle no dazzle. But this guy seems to be in the middle because he had a pretty good bake with the passion fruit caramel.
Yeah.
I don't think he did well in the middle, but the with his official break he did pretty good.
Yeah. So this show breaks down, and they have 3 challenges each week. The first one's called their signature bake, and that's basically an overall bake that they've been able to practice at home a bunch. The second is a technical challenge where they're handed a recipe, but never a real detailed recipe. It's always just the basic. This is what you need to be doing. And they have a what's called a showstopper, which usually has some real specific rules to it. And they have had the opportunity to practice that one as well. And I think practicing for the showstopper, I think it's always actually as I look back in my head, it's probably always been that way. But I think in these two bubble years, last year and this year, it's been even more of a specific way of like how you practice working on your on the showstopper. So the signature bake this week was mini rolls. So if you just imagine Swiss rolls, that's probably what we call them stateside. And Swiss roll, it's like look, it's a specific way you do it. You bake them thin, and you bake them to a certain, I guess, heat, temperature, whatever texture, and they'll roll nice for you every time. If you bake them right, them bitches roll so nicely. You have to fill them right to get that, but you can get a good roll. That way you'll get a nice spiral of filling and a nice spiral of cake. And
You have to get them the right temperature and also the right bake.
yeah,
Like, some people do the little trick where they cut the sides and stuff like that beforehand.
yeah,
But it always seems like heat after they bake it, roll it, put it in the fridge, and then unroll it, and then put the cream in.
yeah.
Everybody didn't do that though.
Yeah, and they suffer for it, and and stuff look bad or the cake be breaking, and they always like, well, I'll just cover it up, and it's like every time somebody say it, I'm like, they gonna see it, dog. And in fact, a specific request they make is it have a nice spiral, and so some people get it right, some people get it wrong. I thought Christelle's and Giuseppe's were very, very well executed.
Giuseppe's was perfect because he didn't even put a coating on his. It was like he rolled it, then like he dipped half of it in nuts.
Yeah,
And he had the perfect roll. Like, yeah, I am pretty surprised. That he didn't win Star Baker.
yeah. Well, and again, we know why dry ass cake at the end. It just come down to it, like I said, and so it was a beautiful. Well, anyway, like I said, his Swiss rolls were amazing. And that's off the rip. That's when I put the star next to his name. I'm like, this cat can bake. And he's an engineer. And we've had a couple of engineers on the show before. And it always comes in handy to have that kind of mindset in the kitchen for a while. It'll get you usually through a lot of episodes because they're so technical and so clean in their thought. Most of the time they can execute pretty well, which is why we'll jump over to Jurgen. Jurgen is a German to his soul. He has like the best German accent. I love it. he sounds like somebody's doing a stereotypical German impression, but that's his actual voice, and it's so funny. But also watching him do it, just clean. Everything he did. I'm saying, I guess his mini rolls were not as nice as they could have been, but his technique was there. His skill seemed tight. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I see you, Jurgen. I really do see you, Jurgen. And when it comes down to it, that proved out in the end. I don't know if I was impressed by anybody else's like roles in the beginning. The cop, the detective, her shit was just all leaning. The one dude, just like I said, the one lady, all her filling melted out because they was hot. The one dude, they was like, this is a pudding. This isn't even a mini roll. Because it's like they're literally still warm, my guy. And I'm like,
yeah, I think I was impressed by Maggie's because of her technique.
okay.
They said it seems like one of the tropes is the older baker knows exactly what they're doing. The flavors are always right spot on. But as the weeks go on, they start to do things that are a little bit newer and not as known, and that's when they fall off. But Maggie was using a technique where she didn't use flour.
Yeah, she did a flourless cake for her mini rolls,
and it still turned out right.
Which is neat to me, and that's why. And Prue was saying how rich it was, how like it was dark. It was because it was dark cocoa, and like Paul was like, it's a little too rich. And Prue was like, my husband wouldn't like it because he wants milk chocolate, but I fuck with it. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you, Prue. They did look very good.
Yeah. So. And then also with Freya's being a vegan one,
Yeah.
it was always like those. It's always seemed like, especially in these newer seasons, there are people who have celiac disease and go gluten free and vegan, and it's always one baker who seems to know what they're doing, and that's
Yeah.
another way they do get caught up because they don't make it in the later episodes because you know the bakes you use can't continue to be that way
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the time.
Because
So
because sometimes the bakes are of a type that require you to use animal products. It just is. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Sometimes it just calls upon you to do it. But so far, it's one episode, but her technique is very skillful. For a person who's only been a vegan, I think they said for a year.
hmm
And so that means at best she only been baking vegan for a year. And like I said, pulling off aquafaba, which is the water from chickpeas,
yeah,
and mixing that up and making it work like you're supposed to be able to use that in place of eggs and stuff. And pulling it off, like I said, Prue was like, I've never been able to make that work, and I'm impressed that you pulled it off. So, just a lot of respect for her. You know what I'm saying, like I said, the youngest person in the tent. I always like when the young ones show up and show out because it's just like I feel like they be kind of surprised by it, or at least maybe that's how they're edited to look like they're surprised, but it come through. But yeah, nobody else has really super impressed me. But some of those cats was like, okay, I feel you. Technical challenge, like I said, remember this is the one where, like I said, they get a recipe, they get ingredients usually laid out pretty clear for them, and they go in, they have to make a specific dish. And this week is I guess a British tea tradition, malt loaf. Some shit, man, is real English looking, and that's one of them. And I guess it did look good when they hit it with the butter. Like I
yeah.
wouldn't mind having a little snack of that, but it's got some big ass hunks of fruit in it. It's a very dark looking loaf. What they said a couple of times as a comment was like it's very bready. I'm like, what the fuck is it supposed to be? But I guess it's cake week, so it should be cakey. And I just answered my own goddamn question. So
It's crazy because like I've made like different quote unquote breads, and I'm like, I can't really tell the difference between this bread and this cake because like you get a muffin and it's muffiny, but it's technically a bread. So I guess it's that fine line between like the crumb of it.
yeah. Well, it was like what was recommended was make sure you mix it through real good, but don't mix it too hard. So it's like you have to. It really is a fine line, like Aunt just said, because if you mix it too hard, it develops gluten and then it leans toward bread. And so you don't want that. You want it more cake-like. But if you don't mix it well enough, you end up with hunks of flour throughout it. And that one lady, the detective, ended up having. She came in last because of that flour shit. The one dude's bread was underbaked, who I thought should have technically been last, and even he didn't come in last because he at least mixed it.
He at least mixed it. And that lady was gross, man. She was swimming in that river, got river water in her mouth. I'm like,
that shit. I was looking at that. I'm looking at that water, and I was like, I can't believe you were in this. Yeah, man,
but she's a detective, so you got to get grimy. She's the Donnie Brasco of Break Off.
But so, I mean, of course, Maggie took this one because, like they said, like I said, if you 35 or older, you know about this. And my one man was like, I'm well over 35 and I ain't ever seen this shit. But he also Italian. And it's probably not a part of the Italian palate.
Giuseppe, yes.
Yeah. I can't believe this nigga named Giuseppe, dog. That's hype.
And then Freya came in second.
Yeah.
And they were saying like, it was such a flippant remark by Paul Hollywood. It's like, you would have came in first, but hers was better.
Yeah. It was wild disrespectful, but also I found interesting that she might be vegan, but she made the butter.
Yeah.
So she's not one of those vegans who's like, I can't even look at animal products. She's like, I do what I got to do. Because they literally had to make butter, which is a wild thing to me. I mean, it's cool that they forced them to do that. I don't think I've ever seen. Have you seen them make butter? Did you recall them having to make it from scratch?
Probably during the bread week and a true bread week when they had to make like Parker rolls or something like that.
Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting little extra. That and candy and orange peel for the top of the loaf. just a couple of things that it's reasons I enjoy the technical challenge because it is just that it's technical. It's like let me get you to show off and see what you end up doing, and like so you see how some people decorated it look more like the example cake, and then other people like laid the strips down all nice. Like I'm like, don't do that. But I get it. It's like what I'm saying. If they never had it before, they like I guess that's what we doing. And like just turn around and look at everybody else's right quick.
It was interesting. Like you did see how everybody laid it down different, but I don't know if it was just because it was week one. It seems like they went right off the actual crumb of it and the taste. They didn't really mention the orange peels much on it.
Yeah, somebody said something about it. I think they said it just looked nice, and then they liked the amount that Maggie put on hers. So I guess that's just basically as far as it goes. In fact, I don't even think I saw them tasting the orange peel. So I guess it's just like what I mean. If they candied it right, it'll look right. It means you didn't burn your damn candy and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that was weird. Not weird, but it was an interesting technical challenge. I liked it. I didn't care for the product. Like I don't want to eat no damn malt loaf. And apparently, if motherfuckers ain't eating it, no people don't eat it anymore. This is an old school thing. So malt loaf, not for your mans.
I mean, you might like malt loaves. You like malts.
I do like malts.
So it's probably just like malt flour, right? And I don't know. I do like malts. And I've been looking for some malt powder, and I haven't been able to find any in a little bit.
Is that not just the Amazon move away at that point?
I mean, sometimes I like finding shit in the wild. I don't want to necessarily be right. But one thing, because, when we were at IKEA, I've been using that flaky salt, and I'm like, I haven't used it all yet.
Yeah.
But I can see, I'm probably going to order some from Amazon.
Yeah. I like the flaky salt.
Yeah,
it's just
me too.
A little zhuzh. I like how bright the thing. So like I said, Maggie took that check challenge. Second was Freya.
Freya.
Who was third? You know who's third?
I didn't pay attention after that.
All right, I'm not worried about that. So next up is Showstopper, and Showstopper this week.
It might have been Jurgen. What's his
Jurgen. Jurgen. It's pronounced Jurgen. I actually wrote down how to pronounce it once they pronounced it for me. I was like, all right, it's pronounced as Jurgen. But this week's Showstopper challenge was they want you to make an anti-gravity illusion cake. Basically a cake that looked like it was defying gravity, like heavier than it should be and holding off at the top. And I was watching people make mistakes left and right. But it's also my one man who I said should go home first. When he come on, bro. What was he even thinking, bro?
I don't know, cause they said from the beginning like that doesn't look like it's gonna defy gravity, and it didn't. So
it was a cake that was just basically sitting to the side. That's not defying gravity. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, bro. It's like, especially when you see what everybody else did. You know what I'm saying? With the exception of my man, I cannot pronounce his. Let me get his name. I'm sorry. My Trini born, Giorgino. He just had issues with the way his cake rolled for him, and therefore he couldn't get the decorations to work how he wanted to. His idea was solid, and the cake was good, and so it's like I think that was his saving grace. But then also I'm kind of like, is that bitch really defying gravity, y'all? So it must have tasted real good. Because they did taste, my man's cake was like, he said, it's supposed to be an almond lemon cake. I don't taste no lemon, my guy. So maybe his cake it didn't taste good enough to get past my other guys.
I kind of feel like, not saying all people of color, but it seemed like most people of color that are on the show, flavors are usually spot on.
Yeah.
They always rave about the flavors. It's just other pieces of things that are their downfall, including cheating, in my opinion, from the other competitors that I'm sorry, not cheating, getting fucked over. There we go.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. So let's see. All right. So Freya's cake was like flowers, but how were hers done?
Her flowers?
Yeah, because she made a flowery situation too, and I can't recall how she did her cake.
I don't. Her cake didn't stand out to me. The people that stood out to me was, of course, like Giuseppe's. It seemed like Giuseppe, like you said, he's an engineer, and he had. It was like a he was the one that had the light cake, right?
No, that was Jurgen. Yeah, Giuseppe did the Jack and the Beanstalk cake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was gorgeous. It really was put together well. But like I said, it was a dry ass cake. And I like said, as soon as they cut into it and they put that, I'm like, that shit dry as fuck. I could see it, and it's just. And of course, that was their comment. They was like, yeah, "It's a dry cake, man. You did really well everywhere else, but the cake itself."
And they said he didn't have enough layers.
They said he should have considered adding another layer because then he would have had another layer of cream, and that probably would have made him for a moister cake. So, I feel like I feel like he was worried about it not being able to support, and so he went for just the basically the double layer as opposed to the triple layer.
Yeah,
and he'll be. I hope he's less timid next week. So, that cake was dope. Christelle's cake was fucking insane. She did a bouquet of flowers, y'all, and it's like so. The bottom was Rice Krispie treats, you know what I'm saying, but still frosted and decorated real nice. And then above that was cake, and it was just insane. It was probably, in my opinion, the nicest one this week, like the most well decorated. But let's see, what did Maggie do?
I have to go back. I wrote it down.
Yeah. Well, okay. So George did. No, not George. Chiggs did like basically a mug of cocoa poured into a bowl or whatever, and that looked real cool. It looked real cool. It did, and they even said as much. It had a very kinetic look to it because it looked like it was dropping into the water, and if you imagine the splashes of what were really Rice Krispie treats. Splashing up, but you would never know. Like I say, it was really well done. That was kind of dope. George, my Cypriot man, my man from Cyprus, he did a kind of similar thing, something pouring out, and I kind of liked it. It was kind of short. My little car builder, also something like looking like it was pouring out, but it just I don't know. It was kind of torp at the bottom and so forth, but she pretty much got the attempt off, and it tasted pretty good. So I think that was again a saving grace. A lot in this in the showstopper this week was people's cake was real good. Rohika, how do you say her name, bro? Rohika. Rohika's was made an apple hanging from a tree.
Yeah,
it fell apart at first, but she managed to get it back together. But it looked.
They said it still tasted good.
Yeah, and of course it tastes good. They said, bro, yes, they tasted good, and again, that's her saving grace. But it was messy, and so the expectation going forward is that you will never bring me some shit like this ever again. It's basically what they kind of told her, you don't come back with this. And Jurgen made this lamp, like a desk lamp, over a book. And he's explaining how he's making it, and he's explaining his system of support, basically using just metal screw rods and so forth. And it's impressive to watch him work his magic. But not only that, he really just made really, really, really good cake. And the lamp was cake. A lot of people made stuff out of Rice Krispie treats as supports, but no, even his lamp was cake. And I'm like, bruh, and again, not only that, they look amazing. Looked so clean, looked so pretty and presentable. Just German engineering at its perfect. You know what I'm saying? I was
did they even cut that top cake? Like the actual lamp part? It don't look like I don't.
I did not see them cut. They asked if it was cake, and they kind of kept it moving. They cut the bottom part, but I think it was probably just difficult to cut the lamp. But I mean, I would have did that shit. You should have did it. As in fact, I think you probably should have cut the lamp more than you cut the book, because the book is just basically a sheet cake.
Yeah,
it's not just a sheet cake because it's very well decorated. It really did like a book. He even went through and put pages in it with a fine knife. So just really well done. And it was a honey something buttercream.
It was honey. It was rose.
And, light rose, yeah. And Prue was like, "I'm glad you went light with the rows because sometimes rows be just a little too much.
Yeah, I don't seen that. I've experienced that my own life. We went to Jenny's in Cuyahoga Falls,
Mm-hmm.
and we got some ice cream there, and it was like strawberry rose.
Yeah.
So gross.
I don't like rose as a flavor. I never have. Vanessa likes it. Likes that as a flavor. It's just it's too literally flowery to me
Floral,
to my
yes.
palate. Yeah, floral to my palate. But they was like, yo, this cake is on blast. This design you did is insane. And Jurgen walked away with Star Baker, and certainly should have walked away with Star Baker this week because he did everything he was supposed to do throughout. Like I said, his mini rolls weren't great, but they were pretty good. His
It was the flavor that saved him because, of course, it's a flavor that he knew. And then when other bakers do it and don't do it as well as someone else, it always stands out.
That's the point. 3 bakers this week made a Black Forest Gateau, a Black Forest cake as their flavor profile for those mini rolls, including Jurgen, who is from the Black Forest region of Germany. And guess who did it the best? That guy. So he came through and did the damn thing. And like I said, he came through pretty well in the technical challenge on the malt loaf, and he showed the fuck out in the showstopper, which is what you're supposed to do. And that's why he walked away as Star Baker. I think Christelle bounced back strong after a good showing in signature, but a mediocre showing in tech. And so I'm like, 2 out of 3 ain't so bad. So it was dope to see her do that. Okay. I'm like, what did I write that down for? I wrote down Maggie won for technical challenge, and I wrote she's an adorable English nan.
I wrote down that Maggie to me is a front runner.
Really?
Maggie and Freya is my front runner so far.
Okay.
Of course, if we're going to move on to the next section, I wrote about Tom. Of course, I said that, I thought he was going to be our food geek, but that's not going to happen for us.
No, because Tom got his ass sent home for making this, what was supposed to be a show-stopping stage cake with a cannonball on it, representative of the 1812 Overture.
Oh, man.
It was whack. And let me tell you something. That's amongst cakes that was one of them cakes was barely put together. My man Gerzino's cake, but even amongst that shit, his shit had a little something to it. Like I could see something going on there. But Tom's cake was just like, imagine if you made a 2-layer cake, and one layer was bigger at the bottom, and one layer was a little smaller, and you just pushed the top layer to the side just a little bit.
Yeah,
it was poorly represented. It was poorly baked, and then it didn't taste good. So all of that, it just conspired against him with the terrible mini rolls he made. That really weren't as bad as George's, but they weren't great either. And a malt loaf where he was in the lower, the lower half. It just everything was against him. He had to hit at least one of them, and he didn't. So Tom got sent on his way, and again, I wrote Tom should leave first, and I actually thought that George would leave first. Again, that's what I wrote down. And I put a star by Giuseppe because Giuseppe really was out there showing out. I was like, okay, Giuseppe about to be the man. And if I had to put it down on anybody, seriously, at this point, assuming he can hold it down, Jurgen, it will be your winner. And I think he'd be a fun winner. I'm just going, if we go, bet.
I can see Jurgen winning, but I think Nana Mag is probably going to be it because, she seems to be the perfect balance of know-how and still being with it.
It's gonna be one of those weeks where it's like just weird like recipes. Let me look at last series. It's gonna be like last year they did Japanese in week 6.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna pull something out of that out of their hat, and that's just gonna be what get her.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like she's with it enough, where it's like she's still out there playing tennis and shit.
True.
Where I feel like we'll have to see, but my first pick is Maggie. My second pick is Freya. My third pick is Giuseppe.
All right, all right. First up, I'm saying is Jurgen. Second up is Freya, and third up is Giuseppe. I'm with you there. They just got something about them, and I'm like, y'all can handle this. I feel like they can handle the pressure and they got off to a good start this week. The one dude didn't close the oven all the way. How, Sway?
It was funny. Like I'm like, that dude was a real dark skinned Greek dude. I'm like, man, that's how they make Greeks out there.
I mean, it's right there next to Africa, bruh. It's like it was so much Greek and Egyptian back and forth back in the day. It made perfect sense to me, man. Plus he's a Cypriot, so he's from Cyprus, which is an island off the coast of Greece, which puts him even a little bit closer to Africa.
Yeah, it seemed like the guys like that are good bakers but never strong bakers.
Yeah, good bakers, not great bakers, and that's like I said, it'll get you on the show. It ain't gonna get you, the platter at the end. So
yeah,
that's what it's gonna be. But next week should be, if everything is if this schedule is like, should be biscuits. And technically that will air tomorrow, as from the time we were recording this in the UK. And I was considering just using my damn VPN to see if I could get the Channel 4 app to work and watch it early, but we'll see. Because let's see, what time? Let's see, it'll be 8:00 in England, is 3:00 around our way. So I mean, right around the midday, a little past midday at work. Maybe we'll see what I can pull off, because that's me both having to download and sign up for Channel 4 app. But I don't know, maybe. Also, I just want to see the difference between the UK presentation and the American presentation. What if anything is being cut and or added. So can't call it. We'll see. My mic turned all the way up. I just noticed.
Hey, but you don't sound overly loud like you have in the past when your mic just goes up and down on its own.
Yeah, if anything, I will. It'll get annoying when I mix it down. So it's all good. So if indeed it stands and biscuits is next week, I'm hype about that. That's one of my favorite little ones, because they make biscuits of all sorts. You know what I'm saying? And flavors and stuff that we don't really fuck with in the States. So I like kind of, somebody gonna make a shortbread. They always do. But I always like watching it, and somebody's gonna make some weird licorice ginger snappy flavor motherfucker, because they always do. He says it's like a flavor. It's my favorite flavor. My nan used to give it to me. Oh, my uncle used to make it for me. It's always gonna be some shit like that there. So I laugh, because I know how it goes down every week. But I'm excited. This is a good looking season, good looking cast. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, these guys are all looking like they can get down to get down. They got rid of what I consider to be like like I said, I knew that dude was going. If he wasn't going this week, he was going next. That's just what
I was kind of hoping it was going to be the detective, but maybe next week.
Next week.
That's my prediction for next week.
Unless she is just the greatest biscuit manufacturer that ever was, that woman can't stir flour. That's just not that. You can't. If you can't mix your ingredients, bro, what is you even doing?
Yeah, she's going next week.
Yeah, so you can bet on that. But you'll probably hear about that. I guess, I don't know. We'll math it out. We'll work it out. We'll figure out how we gonna get these recorded and sent out to you. I'm gonna try to get this one out at some point tomorrow, and you know how we gets down. But you know what it is? It's a treehouse of trust. You don't need all kinds of introduction stuff. If you here, you paid to be here, so you know what it is. You got anything to send them off with it?
No, but my prediction is the detective, which is Amanda. Her name is what?
Amanda.
Chigs. That dude. Amanda, and then if not, let me go back to her. Lizzie.
Yeah, Lizzie, the lady who built cars. If she don't get her shit together, she will go home soon. She next day she had a week that was kind of like you shaky, but I'll let you get a walk. But Amanda, like I said, couldn't stir flour. That's a problem.
George and not Frey, but the one guy Chiggs.
Yeah.
They'll be the floaters. They'll hang on for a little bit, then they'll be gone.
I feel like George will never make another error again. Like I feel like he learned from that oven situation this week.
Yeah.
And anything he fuck up with going forward will be just like, oh, something got overbaked, underbaked, underproved. You know what I'm saying? There'll be something like that. But it ain't gonna be nothing that he has full control over.
And I would reverse that and say that for Chiggs.
Okay.
He is definitely my floater. He knows how to. He's good with everything, but just will ride the middle for a long time.
Yeah, he is one underproof away. Under or overproof. You overproved it. I can just hear Paul saying it to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you ride out at. So that's what's up, people. We will catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
What happened to you?